We want to move on now to the doctrine. Recently, we've had much debate on this program, Winning Africa, and on other programs about the divinity of His Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie, as it relates to the return of Jesus Christ. What are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, Christ is to return and sit on the throne of David. So I strongly believe that, Christ is going to come and sit on the throne of David.
All right, I want you to, you know that you have said something very important here, and something that may disturb the Rastafarian movement in Jamaica. The resistance to slavery, colonial domination, and racism have been the struggles of the sons and daughters of Africa in the diaspora since we were taken to the New World. African resistance began on the slave ships and continues up to the present. The right to basic human rights were not guaranteed after the Emancipation Act went into effect in 1834, and the chance for former slaves to now live as free men and women in dignity and to develop a human potential to the fullest had to be fought tooth and nail against former slave masters. The list of marches for black liberation are many, and the struggle for complete freedom and self-determination have come in all shapes and forms. One of the most glorious moments of the struggle was during the organizational work of the Honorable Marcus Garvey and the UNIA, which linked the efforts on the continent of Africa for majority rule, equal rights and justice, and the struggles in the diaspora with the now famous words, Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. We should move forward also with one God, one aim, and one destiny. In 1930 in Ethiopia, Rastafari Makonnen was crowned King of Kings and Lord of Lords with the throne name Haile Selassie The First, and a new chapter in the struggle, one with religious connotations, was opened. God was finally real, and the Christian doctrine was no longer the monopoly of white missionaries with headquarters in Rome. The Bible was studied, and any reference to Ethiopia took on added significance. Ethiopia, being attacked by Italy at the start of the Second World War, galvanized interest and concern in the struggle of good over evil. During this period, the Ethiopian World Federation was formed in the United States of America under the guidance of the Emperor Haile Selassie The First to unite the support for the restoration of Ethiopia's sovereignty. After the war and the defeat of Italy, the emperor showed his appreciation by donating land at Shashamane to anyone of African descent in the West who wanted to return to the motherland. Time, however, was creating Africans with various aspirations. New generations were producing new societies of Africans in the West. Independent nations were beginning to form, and black majority rule was imminent. In Jamaica, the reverence of Emperor Haile Selassie continued to create distinguishable movements such as Nyabingi, the Ethiopian National Congress, or Baba Dreads, the 12 Tribes of Israel. The 12 Tribes of Israel, founded by the PROFIT Gad, has added another dimension in the liberation movement to include liberation for all races through the teaching of the Bible and the acceptance of Jesus Christ. Membership is not limited, but inclusive. By identifying the spiritual sons of Jacob and finding truth for oneself through reading the Bible a chapter a day, man can find salvation. The divine lineage continues through the Ethiopian monarchy, the seed of David, of which it is said, "The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from beneath his feet until Shiloh comes, and unto him will be the gathering of the people." Running African caught up with the Prophet Gad at his Hope Road home, and for the first time ever, he consented to speak publicly on radio. He tells us first about the history of the 12 tribes.
I was being converted in 1961. And I read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation twice. Well, I was being sent. I was called and sent, resurrected and sent to do this work. And when I read the Bible, I strongly see that there is a gap. It's there to be filled. And I believe I am one of them that's sent to do it.
To do the work. Where did the movement start? Where were you at the time?
At Trenchtown. But I was called when I was living at Outlook Avenue, that is at Rockford Garden.
What form did it take? How did you convince people of what it is that you were sent to do?
Well, I keep telling them that if they read the Bible, a chapter there, they will see what I am doing, if it is right or wrong. Well, majority read the Bible and them say what I am saying is there, so they be a part of it.
How is the 12 tribes, before we get back to the whole movement itself, how is the 12 tribes, or the tribes, the different tribes identified, how did you know who was Simeon and who was Levi and so on?
Yes, well, there's a record in the Bible, if you see, to say that Reuben represent the high and Simeon represent the ears and such like. It is all there, but there is a part there that the maid have 2 children and the other one have 2. So that is how comes the 12 tribe of Israel. It is all recorded there, you know. I have seen most of the things that I am doing in the Bible.
Okay. Some more about the tribes and how they identify themselves.
By a month. Each month, like Reuben represent April and Simeon represent May.
Glad you said that. I'm Simeon.
You know, Simeon represent May and June represent Levi and Judah.
How did you make the connection with the tribes and the month? How did you know that May was Simeon?
All right. Well, you see, I mean, Reuben, you see, so you know that is April, and you're here, that is May, June, July, August, September, October, which is the back, November, your penis, November, December, the knee, January, February, and March.
All right. The 12 tribes of Israel has been accused of being elitist, catering to the middle class and whites. Is that a fair criticism?
No, that is not a fair criticism, because we're not catering for only one set of people. Out of one blood is all nation. So it is all called, but we know that not everybody is going to see what we are doing.
So this talk, because I know a lot of people are listening now, are saying to themselves, but no, we always did think that only a certain type of people were members of a 12 tribe of Israel. And isn't it interesting that a Rastafarian group, Kate, when most Rastafarians are saying down with the white down pressers, that 12 tribes of Israel actually embrace all races?
That is correct. We read in the Bible that out of one blood our nation. So it would be wrong for us to only see one race. We wouldn't survive that way. God make all of us. So that is where I is.
The 12 tribes of Israel is seen as closer to Christianity than other Rastafarian groups. Is there a basic difference in the doctrine?
Yes, there's a basic difference because we teach Christ in that die and rose again. In that die for our sin, we see that person. So that is a different teaching, because not many see this teaching that Christ is the person.
All right. I want to remind you that we're speaking with the PROFIT Gad, who is the leader, the head, the founder of the 12 tribes of Israel. We want to move on now to the doctrine. Recently, we've had much debate on this program, Winning Africa, and on other programs about the divinity of His Majesty, the Emperor Haile Selassie, as it relates to the return of Jesus Christ. What are your thoughts on the matter?
Well, Christ is to return and sit on the throne of David. So I strongly believe that, Christ is going to come and sit on the throne of David.
All right, I want you to, you know that you have said something very important here, and something that may disturb the Rastafarian movement in Jamaica. Christ, you're talking about the return of Christ.
Yes, I am talking about the return of Christ is going to sit on the throne of David.
Is that, are you making a differentiation between Jesus Christ and Haile Selassie?
Yes, I am making a different definition, because Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever. And even if His Majesty said, Him saved not by the main character, but by the blood of Jesus Christ.
All right, let's move on. The doctrinal principles of the 12 tribes of Israel. At the outset of this program, I said that you, as the head of a Rastafarian organization yourself, you don't wear dreadlocks. Do you have specific principles as it relates to hair, diet, and the reading of the Bible?
No, well, when I read the Bible, I say, there is not a ear doctrine. Yet we know that man, his hair is too long, but there's no law to compel him to trim. So as for me now, I say everyone have the right to wear him dreadlocks as long as they want to wear it. And nobody shouldn't have anything to say about it. I read the Bible and I prefer to pull your hair. When you pull your hair, you comb your hair. Like I don't trim, but I pull. So you have some of the dreadlocks dread and you have some that pull them here.
I have heard it said, even on this stationary FM, that if you don't have your dreadlocks, you can't go to Zion. How do you respond to that?
It's not a ear doctrine. It's here by grace through Christ. So ear can't save you.
What about diet?
Diet. Well, it's already recorded in the book what you must eat from what you're not to eat. Yet a man free to do what he wants to do. But it's specifically recorded there in the Bible what to eat, cloven-footed, and what not to eat. That's through the code.
The 12 tribes of Israel, I know members of the 12 tribes of Israel that I've come in contact with. One of the differences that I found is that 12 tribes of Israel members will eat meat, for example, whereas most other Rastafarians are vegetarians.
Yes, well, there's so many things to eat. Before meat, it was vegetables. Afterward, you see that you must eat this meat and you must eat that meat and you must eat that meat. But before it was vegetables. And then afterward, now when the flood, then now we get meat to eat and separate from what not to eat.
All right. Many argue, well, before we even get to that, let us look at the reading of the Bible, because I know that one of your main principles is reading the Bible. Tell me about that.
Yes, well, it showed to me His Majesty even give a little hint that in the Bible, I'm glorifying the Bible, and from a little child he was being taught to read the Bible. Now, when I look, I say that to understand fully, it is good to read timely and to read for yourself. A chapter there, it is preferable. Still anyone free that they can read the Bible or they want to read it.
And you've been in this movement for a very long time. You're the founder. Does that mean that you have continued reading the Bible a chapter a day until now? So you must have read it a couple of times.
Yes, I read it a couple of times, twice. And now again I go through it. But I don't read it as much as, yeah.
All right. Well, many argue that the Bible is not 100% reliable, but that the reading of the Bible actually is a main principle of yours and of the 12 tribes of Israel. How do you respond to the skeptics who say that the Bible is not reliable and burn the Bible, so to speak?
In the time, it showed that you'll have them curse God, curse the king, and such like. So I don't expect for them to accept certain things, but those who accept, well, give thanks to them.
Okay, still on the doctrines and so on, but moving on to rites of passage. How does the movement, the 12 tribes of Israel, address birth within the movement, the adolescence period when the child is a teenager, and marriage, and also death?
But if I could understand clearly, I know that you have a birth, and you have after birth you have a child, adolescent. And then now they're supposed to, when they grow up, they're supposed to marry. And after they marry, they're supposed to help their fellow men. And when death come, it come. But right now, we try to avoid that death business. But when death come, you can't run from it. As for us, we don't die. We only sleep, waiting for the resurrection.
Are there any specific ceremonies concerning, for instance, birth? Is a child within the 12 tribes of Israel christened or blessed by you as a prophet?
I don't do any christening. I wasn't told to christen, so I don't do any christening. They can christen, when you're born. You know that you have to christen, and then
but not within, not necessarily within any strict rules, so on. What about marriage? Are there any specific?
Marriage is a holy vow, right? And I know that marriage is right. So if you see a partner you love them, get married. That is as far as I'm concerned on marriage.
Okay, moving on. The 12 Tribes of Israel currently is not having regular meetings. When can we expect the resumption of these meetings?
We was discussing about it, that I think the time has come for it to start, But we was organizing for years and keeping a lot of meetings. So we take a break, a rest. Because the same teaching over and over, so we take a rest. But soon, we hope and trust that we open the hall, we open back to proceed as it was before, and then taking back some of the members who would like to be a part.
Do you have any idea how soon, within a couple of months or anything like that?
Not yet. I can't say. Probably a little more, but not right at the moment.
All right. How does one who is interested in becoming a member of the 12 Tribes of Israel, how does one do that?
Well, they have to wait until we announce the time when we're going to take in members, and then they can.
So listen out for that. The monarchy. Discussions on the monarchy have served within the Rastafarian movement to separate the movement. Many see Haile Selassie as the final king. And how does the 12 Tribes of Israel view the continuation of the monarchy in relation to the current political climate in Ethiopia?
Yes, well, his Majesty will be the final king, because he's not there now, and we have other kings to come, right? So, as for me, I strongly believe that the monarchy will establish when due time.
So, Haile Selassie, contrary to what a lot of other people are saying, is not the final king.
No, he's not the final king.
Well, could you tell me a little bit about the succession then?
Succession, His Majesty named Haile Selassie already as the heir to the throne, and he is not at the moment there. And him also named Jacob, but Jacob is there now, so we are looking for the speedy return of Jacob to Ethiopia.
How does this fit in with the teaching of not necessarily the 12 Tribes of Israel, but of Rastafarians in general, who because at first you answered that anyway about the divinity of Haile Selassie, and you have actually made a distinction between Haile Selassie and Jesus Christ. But many Rastafarians don't see anything, outside of Haile Selassie, which means that he is the final king to sit on the throne. How do we resolve that?
As I said before, he is not the final king, but I strongly believe that Christ is going to sit on the throne. But His Majesty is not the final king. You have more king, because Haile Selassie is not there, and you have Jacob supposed to be seated shortly.
Do you see the monarchy being restored in Ethiopia? As a matter of fact, because of what is happening in Ethiopia now, we know that Haile Selassie tried to go back recently. We don't know what happened with that. He didn't go back. But do you see a restoration of the monarchy in Ethiopia?
No, they do accept the monarchy, but at least there is a amount of people is there that looking forward, because that is the only person they believe would be able to get back the unity of the Ethiopian people.
How do you see it happening, the restoration of the monarchy?
When the time comes, we will overturn, and whose right it is, and we'll give it to them. So when the fullness of time comes, we don't know when, but we're sure that it must happen.
Is this according to prophecy? That the monarchy must be restored?
Oh, yes.
Is the monarchy a dinosaur in the age of democracy, do you think? And could it be anything more than a constitutional monarchy?
I don't fully understand that.
Right now, when Haile Selassie was trying to return the last time, he was told that he could only come back as a constitutional monarch with no powers whatsoever. Do you see anything else happening from that, apart from that, or do you see the monarchy being restored to such a point where the monarchy is once again as it was in the days of Haile Selassie ruling Ethiopia?
Keep saying over and over that when the time comes, then we're sure that we're going to have a king to seat up. It's going to take some time. Yeah, but he's going to be seated for sure.
All All right. Rumors have been circulating that Prince Zara Jacob is mentally deranged and therefore not fit to succeed. What light can you shed on this matter?
Well, I, Brother Gad, don't know him as somebody that is mentally disturbed. He was here the last time, everybody see him and such alike. He is functioning normal as far as I understand when I left him in Manchester. But I don't see him as a deranged person. It's really, unbelievable.
All right, and we must point out at this point, I don't know if you want me to do this, but that the Zara Jacob is very close to the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yes, he's very close. He's brethren them and sister in Manchester.
Is he a member of the 12 tribes of Israel?
He's a member of the 12 tribes of Israel, yes.
All right, Prince Ermias, the nephew of Haile Selassie, will visit Jamaica in August. What is his position in the royal family?
Yes, I have no much knowledge about it, but I heard that him is one of the crown councils. That is as far as I know. To see further what he's doing and what he's saying. But I don't have no much knowledge about him. But I know that him is one of the crown councils.
Has Ermias been in contact or in touch with you?
No, we haven't spoken, and I don't know him, and he don't know me yet.
Have you been officially informed of his visit in August?
Yes, when I say officially, although when I read this, I have a document here before that he was planning to come, and now the time, arrived for him to be here in August.
All right, the future of the monarchy, is it a part of the doctrine of the 12 tribes of Israel that the monarchy must be physically restored? You touched on that before, that it is prophecy, but is it a part of your teaching that...
Yes, that is a part of our teaching, that the monarchy must restore it, just like how the sun and the moon and the stars is there, and that nobody can remove them. Same way, the monarchy must restore it.
The 12 tribes of Israel currently has the largest settlement on Shashamane. Is Ethiopia the final home? And what about the rest of Africa?
Just Shashamane is not the final home. The whole of Africa. One king shall rule over them all. And also the whole of Africa, and especially Jerusalem.
Okay, you say all of Africa, especially Jerusalem, and I'm sure a lot of people are saying, but Jerusalem is not Africa.
Jerusalem is Africa. Jerusalem is a part of Africa. So certain things happen and it break away. But there's no argument that Jerusalem is not a part of Africa. We are sure.
So when we speak of the New Jerusalem, what are we talking of?
Jerusalem. When we're talking about the New Jerusalem, we're talking about the Jerusalem in Asia Minor. New Jerusalem is a different thing, all entirely definition.
I want to just look a little bit more at that. Jerusalem being the final home, all of Africa, especially Jerusalem. How is that, if you will, how will that work? How will that happen?
See, they take out a lot of it open there. If you notice, the history show you that they always was saying that the people in Ethiopia is not the Jews. All right, but then suddenly there's a changes that them is the Jews, and them take out most of them and carry them to Jerusalem. So you see everything clear there, that the people who is Israel and was in Ethiopia, them come from their ancestors was from Jerusalem, and them send them back. So here's some of us out here now, it was quite interesting that those who they take from there and they carry there, they said they are the tribe of Dan. So them identify themselves as one of the tribe of Dan. The people them who leave and go to Jerusalem that then take out from Eritrea, Falashal. Yeah.
Okay, who should lead the repatriation exercise? Yeah, because there are so many different organizations all over the world, African organizations, non-African organizations. How involved should they be in helping black people who want to go back to Africa?
The first thing, the OAU is supposed to be the country that come together and help voice for the return of the people in the Western Hemisphere back to Africa. I strongly believe they supposed to should be playing a part to help we to come home, who want to come.
What about reparations from Europe, from America, from Britain?
Yes, well, we're going to need help because, the ship is there, the plane is there, so we're looking for them to help to transport us back. As even them said the other day, the only thing to do now is to send away back the people. people that they send away, those are the people that help back the country.
So we get back to who should lead this exercise, this Back to Africa movement. Who do you think should lead that?
Well, the Rastafarian must come together and elect a person to represent the body. And then out of that, then we can be able to write to these different people and to tell them, that we are united. We would like them to help us.
Is the Shashamane land grant still in effect?
The Shashamane land grant is still in effect, but there's a lot of things to clear up within the settlement.
Do you want to elaborate on that, some of the things that we need to clear up?
Not at the moment.
Right, so you say it is still in effect, but there are things that need to be cleared up. Now, what is the 12 tribes' position on the EWF claim that all settlers of the land, that people who settle on Shashamane, are squatters if they do not settle through the permission of the EWF?
It's really surprising to know that they are saying that who is there on the land, squatters. How can African going back home, can become squatters? It is unbelievable. Squatters. Impossible.
Is there a need for Rastafarians to organize and decentralize?
There is an urgent need for the Rastafarian to organize. Yes, there is.
How do you think this process can begin?
Well, somebody that is capable of call a meeting, and if they're sincere, they call a meeting and open just that. From there we can get somewhere.
But you as a leader of the 12 tribes of Israel, you see a great need. Do you see yourself playing any part in that?
I strongly believe that I will help play my little part that I can as a person who's organizing over the years when that process.
Right. Should there be a political as well as a spiritual arm of Rastafarian?
There is a political movement is there, but I am not here to deal with it. I am not fighting them. I am here to deal with the spiritual part of it, not politically.
What are your thoughts on the Rastafarian Centralization Organization, the RCO?
I have no knowledge at the moment. I only know that them is here, so it's only left now to see what they're saying before I can give a definite, statement about them. But I don't have no knowledge presently.
The RCO, they have been around for a little while. Haven't they contacted you officially, informing you of the organization and inviting you to join with them in the centralization process?
Came here to send a letter inviting us to help with the school, but we never get to it. So that is the only letter that I know that I have so far, but I don't get any letter them inviting such stuff.
That is quite interesting that is happening, that we have a Rastafarian Centralization Organization and that the head of the biggest, the most organized Rastafarian movement in the world has not been invited to be a part of that centralization process. If you were invited, would you talk with them and see what's happening?
Yes, I believe the time has come for me to play a part, with it. So I think I would go and hope and trust that they proceed orderly and there have no commotion, because I don't deal with the combustion, the confusion. But I strongly believe that the time has come for Rastafarian to come together.
I feel very good to hear that. The 12 Tribes of Israel has undoubtedly the most organized body of Rastafarians in the world, as I said before. What role should the movement play in organizing Rastafarians in Jamaica and in the rest of the world?
Well, at least we are organizing for a while now. We have the organ. The 12 Tribes of Israel is in Jamaica. It starts here. It is in Ethiopia. It is in the United States. It is in the United Kingdom, Sweden. It is in Germany, New Zealand, Tobago, Ghana, Australia, Kenya, and Grenada. That is 12 tribes. Tribe organization in these other countries, and some other country is still there.
Well, I'm thinking that since the 12 tribe has done so well in organizing the 12 tribes of Israel, is there a particular role now that the 12 tribe could play in organizing the rest, in helping them to organize the rest of Rastafarians?
As I just said a while ago, that I think I could help to play a part, give a helping hand, not as somebody come to take over nothing, but as a helping hand to help organize them, So we're looking forward.
The Prophet Gad, the man who boldly declares Jesus Christ, the head of a Rastafarian movement who doesn't wear dreadlocks, the man who coined the phrase, a chapter a day.